Oh, goodness. Well, good afternoon. Let me see if I can fix my lighting around here a little bit. That might be a little bit better. So, it is Saturday afternoon, and I am downtown Nashville, and I am sitting in front of the Tennessee Supreme Court building, as you see right there. Might be a little bit noisy with the traffic, but just bear with me. And you have stop traffic lights with beepers on them. But I don't know if our connection's going to be good, but we're just going to give it a little shot here, okay? So, I'm here in front of the Tennessee Supreme Court, and I have something very important here in my hand. You see this right here? This is my voter registration, okay? Now, to a lot of you, that may not be a big deal, or you may not think of that as a big deal, or you may be saying to yourself, why do you have a new voter's registration? So, the reason I have a new voter's registration is because my right to vote was removed when the state of Tennessee created a fake felony. Mhm. This has been one of the most incredibly difficult things of my life for many reasons. It's been very difficult to explain from the very beginning because people didn't listen to me. People didn't say, people didn't say that um, they didn't believe me. They didn't agree with me when I said I was charged with a fake crime. And so I was always combating the narrative of the people in government who work for us taxpayers for their narrative that I was a felon. Okay, this was huge. And it's very hard to explain how difficult of a process this has been emotionally and psychologically because I am a very strong person. I'm a very strong person. I have had substantial um, challenges in my life. I've had, deaths in my family. I've had cancers in the family. I've had cancer myself. I have adopted children. They gave me all the challenges, in adulthood and professionally. I was working among a lot of bullies, and I always just held my own ground, just stood up to them and held my own ground. And then when they decided that they couldn't just beat me by making it difficult for me in the judicial process. They decided to create a fake crime. And they made up a fake crime. And when I was going through this process, people who were not practicing law, but who were part of some organizations, they would say to me, Connie, judges don't change the law. And I say, yes, the judge changed the law. And I was continuously discredited because they didn't even want to believe that. Okay, so if you're just joining, this is where I am. You see those Tennessee Supreme Court right there behind me. I'm afraid to put it too far away from me because of all the noise background. So it was a fake crime. Every bit of it was a fake crime. So when I got convicted of a fake crime on April the 20th, 2022, 2 days later, I got a fax from the Tennessee Supreme Court that said that my license to practice law had been summarily suspended. And when it was summarily, no hearing, no ability to challenge it, I tried anyway. I filed a petition with the Tennessee Supreme Court. And I said, this is a fake crime. This is not even a real crime. You can't rewrite the law to charge somebody with a crime. They denied it, suspended my license, I don't know, a dozen or so families that I was in the middle of trying to save them and their children. I had to get out of their case, and they had to go get new attorneys, which then judges were talking ugly to them. And yeah, I had people working for me that had to quit, leave, and I had to shut down my office after almost 30 years of practicing law, dozens and dozens of cases I'd taken to the Court of Appeals. I helped develop civil rights issues on family related matters in the federal courts. And I was just shut down in like in a minute. And the jury was lied to. The jury was lied to. And who lied to the jury? The district attorney, Mary Catherine Evans. She lied to them. And who else lied? You know, Tracy Hetzel, a DCS attorney. Who else lied? Lori Russ, a police detective, and David O'Neill, the captain of investigations, who's also a lawyer. He knew it was not a crime. You know, he knew it wasn't a crime. And by the way, I saw him this week at a county commission meeting because he retired from the Brentwood Police Department and is now a county commissioner. And he walked right by me, and I tried to stick out my hand to shake his hand and said my name, and he shunned me. And he's like, I think he's my county commissioner. I don't know because they stripped my right to vote, and I just got this back, which was very difficult to do. So I had to jump through all kinds of hoops to even get that back. Oh, thank you, Kim. Yeah, it has been very difficult, y'all. And there were times and there were weeks and even months where I just couldn't really deal with it because every time I would try to post something or really try to get into a CPS issue, the haters, which I still have some haters, would say, oh, she's a felon. She's been convicted of felonies. Don't listen to her. I was running for juvenile court judge, and this deliberately interfered with the election. A fake crime interfered with an election. So it doesn't just happen on a national level with presidential candidates. It happens at a local level with candidates that are trying to do things better for children and families. And they were scared to death. They were scared to death that I might beat Sharon Duffy. So the election was rigged with a fake crime. And they even scheduled the fake crime right during the middle of the election, even though it had occurred 4 years earlier. So it's been very, very hard. I just really wanted to take a minute to tell you all that because I know, and in the meantime, I've continued to do things. I've been to Washington. I've continued to advocate with the Family Forward Project. I've had talked to a lot of other families. I've tried to help some other families and just kind of giving them some direction and some support. But it's been very, very hard, very hard. At 70 years old to be convicted of a felony when you have no criminal history. I mean, none. You have no criminal history. I graduated or cum laude with my bachelor's degree, which means I had a 3.5 or better. And I was a class representative in law school who had to go talk to the dean about the other students, not even me, who had maybe kind of cheated on an exam and ended up with a bad grade. And they kind of nailed me in the hallway and said I needed to go basically beg for mercy. And I did, and turned some things around for a lot of students. There were a lot of students that year who were at risk of being expelled because of what they had done. And as their student representative, I sat down and talked to the Dean Lozier at the time, and was able to help alleviate that. And ever since I've been practicing law, I was a district attorney in Nashville, Davidson County. My first jury trial was a child murder. I put the guy away for a long, long time. And I stood in front of that jury and talked about the murder of that baby. I'm the only attorney in Tennessee who successfully represented children against their parents for child abuse and received a substantial seven-figure judgment on their behalf and collected it. So it's it's like, why would you want to shut that person up who was that active in the legal community and was doing that much and making that much progress? And there's only one reason, is because I started talking out. I started speaking out about what they were doing, the way they treat people, and obviously how stupid they are. They're so stupid to make up a fake crime. It's a totally fake crime. I am, um, and I'll say I'm not the only victim in Tennessee. There was just an article in the paper about what they call sober driving arrest, where in Rutherford County, they just filed a federal lawsuit where a man was arrested for DUI because he failed a sobriety test that the police officers make you do. And it took 6 months to get his blood results back because he told them he had not had anything to drink. And he was innocent. And in 6 months, he had to labor under that. And he had to go to court and he had to make bond. And they just treat you like crap. They just treat you really bad. And so when I hear sometimes officers like, Sheriff Jeff Hughes at the commission meeting the other night said, well, if you do the crime, you do the time. Well, what if it's a fake crime? Because the Williamson County Sheriff's Department participated in it. All of these people all along the way, so many had the opportunity to say no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to participate in that. But no, they didn't. And that just shows how we all along the way. People, even those who work for the government or work for us because we are paying for them, they've got to have some balls and they have to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to participate in that. I'm not going to do it. David O'Neill, who's the county commissioner for Brentwood and worked with the Brentwood Police Department for years and was the chief of criminal investigations. He could have said no. He could have said no to Tracy Hetzel. He could have said, this is not a crime. I'm not going to play along with this charade, but he didn't. He participated in it. He initiated it. He signed off on it. And still in his answer to this day, he put in his answer that the Brentwood police had probable cause of a crime. Yeah, it was all fake. It was all a fake. And they did that to shut me up and to keep me from getting laws changed, from helping families. They wanted to discredit me from talking to legislators. So all along the way, I mean, I kept my head up, okay? I kept my head up and kept going. And every year, almost every year, I don't think I did in 2020 when we had a pandemic, or maybe 2021, but almost every year, I've gone to the General Assembly and I've talked about the bills that they have and how bad they are for families because DCS and the governor go in and ask for these horrible bills. And sometimes even the state legislature asks for bills that are horrible for families. So I need more people to pay attention and to be willing to start participating in the state and local activities, even the federal activities that we have done to try to improve things for families. So here I am today, finally, August. I guess it should kind of be a celebration. August the 25th of 2024. What started in August of 2018 that stripped me of my right to vote, stripped me of my law license, stripped me of my ability to help people, my ability to help people, because that was all that I was about, was helping people get through their difficult situations. And so here I am finally today, after all of the shenanigans, being restored my right to vote. And it took, I mean, it took trips down to the election commission to even make that happen. I had to file, even after even after the Court of Appeals reversed the conviction on March the 4th, which was also delayed, and I think intentionally delayed because there was an election in Williamson County for judge on March the 5th. March the 4th, they entered that opinion. And even then, it took me until July to get the conviction dismissed back in the trial court. And I had even asked the Attorney General's office to enter an agreed order to stop this charade and make it go away, restore me to where I was. And they refused to do it. They did everything they can. All of these taxpayer paid criminals did everything they could to continue to make it difficult. Yeah, all of them, any of them could have stopped it. Even the Attorney General in Wendy's case, Catherine Decker, she just sounded stupid in the oral argument. She was stupid. She was trying to change all the words around to the statute and talk about preceding antecedents in a sentence. It was just stupid. It made no sense. Unfortunately, we got a good opinion from Judge Easter, who did the right thing. Now, what he didn't do is dismiss the indictment. This is better. Oh my gosh, it's so dark. Oh, it's really good right there. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? So, Judge Easter is the one who wrote the opinion in Wendy's case, and he did the right thing. And he wrote a good opinion, but he did not dismiss the indictment. He didn't dismiss the indictment. So, what that means is that any rogue attorney general in the state of Tennessee can go make up laws and get you indicted for it. As long as they put the statute number in the indictment, then they can do whatever they want. So I also tried to get the indictment dismissed by the Supreme Court, and they refused to do it. So Tennessee's not a good place. It's not a safe place to live. It's not a safe place for people to be protected against a rogue government. It's not a safe place. I told you about the sober driving arrest. In addition to that, there was another arrest of another grandma in Williamson County. And I'm going to work with her to get her story out. Because again, DCS in Williamson County made up a fake crime to have this grandmother arrested, have her tracked, have her cell phone tracked, have her picked up in Davidson County and thrown in the slammer on a $75,000 bond and held no contact for 24 hours. And the reason they did it was so DCS could take her grandchild and put her in the home of a stranger 3 hours from home, 2 hours from home. With horrible people. They're just horrible. I'm just going to say it. They're horrible people. Anybody who thinks that the panacea of a new life for children is foster home, which are strangers that the child doesn't even know, they've never had contact with in their life. They have no specialized training except foster care training. They're not medical, they're not licensed professionals. And then, and Brenda Johnson in Rutherford County, I've been just trying to follow her to see what's going on. They're treating her terrible. They're treating her like crap. I went over there. I don't know if you saw the clip, but I went over there and they were going to lock me up just because I was trying to talk to the clerk to try to make sure that Brenda got a copy of a sealed file, a sealed record that was in her file. The clerk was flipping through her file and there was a brown envelope in there. And I said, give that mother a copy of what's ever in that envelope. And she's like, no, I can't. And I says, well, then tell her what's written on the front of it. She's like, it's under seal. And I'm like, well, tell her what's written on the front. And the deputy walked over and was going to throw me out of the building and have me arrested. Yeah, that's how bad it is. Throw me out of them. And then she's gone back and tried to get other documents, and they've told her to leave the building. Her children have been in DCS custody for 561 days, and she's never had a trial. Never had a trial. They arrested her for truancy and served her daughter with a summons for truancy. They took her kids on that truancy, and then they dismissed her daughter's truancy, but didn't dismiss her truancy. Now, how do you have a truancy on a parent? You don't. Truancy's a truant child. If you don't have a truant child, you can't have a truant parent. And so what they are doing is continuing to jerk citizens around and try to take power and control over them and do horrible things, take their children, take their land, take their property. You know, the case in Tennessee where they took this family's cattle because they thought the cattle were too skinny. I mean, this crap needs to stop, y'all. It needs to stop. So, in the meantime, on a positive note, if there is one, before I go to that, the Juvenile Jail and Justice Center, I pulled a lot of documents on that. And I'm going to do another video on it where I can pull these documents out and show them to you. I can't do it here because it's too windy, first of all, and people are walking around and all that. But we don't need a juvenile. We don't need to spend $280 million. And I'm going to show you the statistics as to why we don't need it. And I also serve some public records requests. Okay, so Crystal asked a question about my license. So here's the rule. So in April of 2020, they suspended my license summarily without a hearing. They used Tennessee Supreme Court Rule 9, Section 22.3. You can look it up for yourself. It says in there that if you're convicted of a serious crime, which is supposed to be causing harm or serious dishonesty. So it wasn't even a serious crime. But if you're convicted of a serious crime, they can summarily take your license. But it also says in the next subsection, as soon as proof is presented that that crime has been reversed, then or dismissed, then they have to restore your license immediately. That's what it says. So on August the 15th, with the Tennessee Supreme Court over here, right there, with the Tennessee Supreme Court, I filed the certified copy of the reversal of the conviction. They were supposed to immediately restore my license, and they have not. They have not. Yeah, I don't understand why CPS is allowed to violate constitutional rights and get away with it. I'm telling you, it's so bad. It is so bad. It's so horrible. It is so horrible. And we have to figure out every way in the world that we can to make noise about this. So I'm working on a couple other things. I don't want to change topics too much because I really wanted to focus on you understanding this journey that I have been on has been so difficult. It's been so hard. It's been so difficult. It has been so exhausting. It has been such a struggle. It has been so demeaning. It has been so humiliating to sit in front of people in the community and be convicted, and because they were given fake jury instructions. It's like I want somebody to call every one of those jurors and say, you were lied to. You were lied to. Now how do you feel? Because you were lied to about the jury instructions and that it was done just to retaliate against somebody. And then we have, when they couldn't put me in jail, they did the second fake felony for aggravated perjury. Thank you, Carrie. And that one was based on a fake felony written by a CASA worker who didn't even know me, who didn't even have personal knowledge of the facts that she wrote in the affidavit. And I don't think she wrote it all by herself. I think she was put up to it. I think she was told to write it. But I don't know. I guess I'll find out when we do depositions or I get her answer and her response. Because the people that want to shut me up are people on the taxpayer payroll, people who are being paid by our tax dollars. People paid by our tax dollars are the ones who have enlisted in this demonic and evil plan and carried it out. And only now am I breaking down those strongholds. Only now. There's 2 federal courts cases filed on the fake criminal cases. They're trying to dismiss them. They're trying to get immunity. And I I don't know. I've filed all the responses. We got all the responses filed. We'll have to sit tight and give the judge an opportunity to review those. We also filed a motion to ask the judge to go ahead and be able to do some discovery on those because they're trying to, Tracy Hetzel, who's the DCS attorney, put in her response that it would only be reasonable and responsible for her to work with law enforcement on potential criminal activity. And she cited 4 laws that were all about child abuse. They're nothing about making the DCS attorney an investigator. She has a limited role, which is child welfare investigations. There is so much corruption, so much. So I'm trying to put myself in a place to be stronger and and be more proactive. And you have to understand something about my little brain here. I'm probably ADD, but I have this brain that goes all the time. Okay, a lot of us do. Most of us have a brain. Our brain activity is like going all the time. Mine is going all the time, but it's always going in the direction of how do we fix this? How do we uncover this? What steps can we take? So every time, I don't even have to lay my head down and sleep for my brain to start going crazy. Every time I just have a pause or I see a news article or, I don't know, I just see um, anything can trigger it. The Supreme Court case has triggered it. A newspaper article triggers it. Excuse me. It's allergy season out here in Tennessee. So, so anyway, I'm going to start choking up with allergies out here, but hang in there with me. There's going to be some more videos talking about some more specific things. But I really wanted to tell you how hard it has been to be made a fake criminal. All right, we can do this. We can do this. And I'm not going to choke on allergies. We're going to go for now. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.